Hello and welcome to the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging's video blog in recognition of National Caregiver Month, which is November. Today, I'd like to welcome Mr. Leonard MacKey and thank him for his willingness to speak out about his experiences as a caregiver. So thank you and welcome, Leonard. Can you
Thank you, Jennifer.
Sorry about that. Nope. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience as a caregiver and any resources that you may have found along the way that have helped in your journey?
My wife and I have been married for 53 years. About 3 years ago, she started having memory problems. And of course, like I think a lot of us, if not most of us, I wanted to chalk it up to just a normal aging process and this type of thing. Then I started factoring in the fact that both of her brothers and one of her sisters had passed from Alzheimer's. We started doing some testing. She was diagnosed with minimal cognitive impairment about 1.5 years ago, and that's now proceeded to stage 2 dementia. She has 0 short-term memory. She's not in need of 24/7 care in terms of helping with daily living chores so much as she is in just supervision. As you might understand, that's made a big change in our lives. I had had a minimal experience with dementia with my mother, but it wasn't hands-on. I had simply taken care of her finances from Colorado while she lived in Montana. So I went into this thing. I didn't have any contacts, no help. I developed my whole concept of what it meant to be a caregiver in a vacuum. And I was casting around frantically for help. And I came upon the PPACG's Powerful Tools for Caregivers workshop. And it was an 8-week workshop, basically a group meeting is what it boils down to. And it was probably the most valuable thing I've done in terms of being able to care for my wife. I learned that it's okay to be frustrated and angry and generally ticked off at the whole world, because this is not fair. This is a disease without reason, a disease without logic behind it. In fact, one of the most worst things about the disease is it steals logic from the one it takes, it attacks. I learned that it's okay to feel angry with myself. I also learned, probably most importantly, that it's essential to carve time for myself daily, not just when things get tough, but daily carve time for myself. The third thing that I learned from that workshop that we discussed was that you're not in this alone. There are hundreds, if not thousands of people out there, just like whoever's watching this and myself, that are going through this. And you're possibly going through it alone like I was. That's not necessarily the case. Now, you don't have to join meetings and go to meetings twice a week or participate in touchy-feely counseling groups if you don't want to. A number of resources out there are just astounding. You can find a resource that fits for you. You can find a resource that'll work for your situation. Asking for help. I grew up in a very conservative family. My wife was sick. For 53 years, it's been my job to take care of her. It's been my job to fix things. Guess what, folks? You can't fix this one. It's there, period. You can't fix it. So the group taught me that asking for help is not a weakness. What it is a proactive strategy that will help you give the best care you can to your loved one. There is nothing in the book that says because your loved one has a devastating disease that you have to totally decimate your own life and give up your own individuality to support that disease. It's okay to look out for yourself occasionally. Now, don't get me wrong. I went back and we looked at our wedding license this year, 53 years. And I read that puppy front and back. And you know what? There's no opt-out clause in there. There's no, bailout clause. We're in this to the end. She took care of me for 50 years. Now it's my turn to take care of her. but I don't have to destroy my own personality while I'm doing it. If you're worried about finances, please contact an attorney that specializes in elder care and elder words. We used an attorney in Colorado Springs that was just absolutely fantastic, and most of them are. What that does more than anything else is helps you develop a plan. Because of the workshop, my situation has gone from hopeless to simply difficult. Difficult I can do. Hopeless, no, but difficult I can do. I now have a plan. I kind of know where we're going. I'm developing more every week, an idea of where we're at and what's possibly going to come next. And I'm developing more and more an appreciation of what it means to live outside the relationship, in that you appreciate the overall picture instead of just the intense one-on-one attachment that my wife and I have had for each other for years. I look back at the 53 years and think how valuable that is, and how if I had to change, regardless of what's happened, if I had to do it over, I'd do the same thing again tomorrow. I think the last thing I'd like to do is say that I'm a veteran, and I always felt, well, there's probably caregiver services out there for me. You know, the VA will have something to offer for me, but there's a surprising number of services and things they can do for caregivers of veterans. Find out what's going on and give your, see if you can help. The VA is a good place to go.
That's a really good point that you mentioned about the VA, because it's not just for the veterans, it's for their spouses as well, especially in this community where there's a large military population that often people don't realize that they can reach out to them as well if they weren't the service member themselves.
Well, thank you for having me, Jennifer. I hope this helped.
It does. Thank you so much. I want to thank you again for taking the time to speak with us today about this very important role that so many people find themselves in, and not, sometimes it's not planned. A lot of times it's not planned. So in addition to the VA, like Leonard mentioned, you can also reach out to the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging's Family Caregiver Support Center for any help. They can be reached at the website and the phone number listed below, or at familycaregiving@ppacg.org.